The clay that remembers. In the village of Woody, where the red earth met the sky in a dusty seam, the true keeper of history was not the elder with the longest beard, but a young potter named Amara, who was born touched. The women of Woody molded pots for water, for storage, for cooking. But Amara's pots, they whispered. She heard the memories trapped in the clay. Every handful of earth held echoes, the footfall of a long-dead antelope, the sigh of a first rain, the laughter of children who had become ancestors. Her pots, when filled with water, would sometimes show shimmering, ghostly reflections of these old moments. The village called it a curious blessing, but mostly left her to her work at the lonely hut by the Iroko tree. Her peace shattered the day the men from the city came, with contracts and sleek sunglasses. They represented GreenFlow Agric, and they promised a revolution. Their miracle, a hyper-efficient irrigation pipeline that would snake through the ancestral farms, bringing boundless water and profit. All it required was a deep, straight trench cut right through the heart of the valley, through the old burial grounds. The elders were divided. The promise of green in the dry season was a powerful siren song, but the old grounds were sacred. Debate raged for days. Amara, silently, went to the valley at twilight. She pressed her palms into the cool, dark soil of the burial grounds. The cacophony that rose into her was not the gentle whisper of forest clay. It was a chorus, a deep, rhythmic drumming of ancient hearts, the crackle of old cooking fires, the murmur of stories told under a million stars. It was the sound of a community resting, still part of the land. The next morning, at the village square meeting, she did something unthinkable for a young, solitary woman. She stood before the arguing men and the company man, Mr. Gowan. "This land is not empty," she said, her voice quiet but carrying. "It is a library. The trench will not just move earth, it will silence 1,000 voices." Mr. Gowan smirked. "Voices? My dear, we are bringing progress, not listening to ghosts." Amara didn't argue. She simply walked to the center of the circle, opened a sack, and placed one of her pots on the ground. It was a simple, elegant vessel, glazed with the iron-rich clay from the burial grounds. "Look," she commanded. The villagers crowded around. At first, it was just water. Then, as the clay drank, images began to swirl on the surface, reflected in a light that came from nowhere. They saw their own great-grandparents, clearing the very spot where the meeting was held, planting the first aqua breadfruit tree. They heard their names, their jokes. They saw the intimate, founding moments of Woody itself. A stunned silence fell. Mr. Gowan's smirk had vanished, replaced by cold calculation. "A clever trick," he snapped. "Parlor magic to stall development." But the oldest elder, Mama Agatha, who had said nothing all week, spoke. Her voice was like dry roots shifting. "My mother told me of the potter who could listen to the earth. She said that skill died 2 generations ago." She looked at Amara. "It did not die. It was sleeping. The land has chosen its speaker. We will not cut its throat for a pipe." The company left, threatening lawsuits. But the problem remained. The dry season was coming, and the rains had been poor. Desperation began to erode the wonder of Amara's vision. Murmurs started. What use are ghost stories to thirsty children? Amara knew she had to do more than show the past, she had to use it to protect the future. She retreated to her hut for 3 days and nights. She didn't just listen to the clay now, she asked it questions. She gathered earth from 7 sacred spots, the burial ground, the first spring, the hill of the first moon festival, the base of the oldest sick cotton tree. From this clay, she did not make a pot. She made a map. It was a large, flat tablet, and into its surface, she sculpted the valley in perfect miniature, every hill, every known stream. She brought the map to the elders. "The company's trench was here," she said, pointing to a line that would have sliced the blue vein. It would have drained the ancient water, not accessed it. But here, our finger moved to a spot just east of the sacred grounds. The earth's memory shows a crack. "The water is closer here. We can dig a well. The ancestors will not be disturbed," and the water will be sweet. Guided by the memory map, the men dug. At 10 feet, they found only hard rock. Doubts grew. At 15 feet, the rock gave way to damp, cool sand. At 20 feet, a clear, cold spring erupted, tasting of mint and ancient stone. The village was saved not by a screaming steel pipe, but by a silent whisper from the clay. Amara is no longer just the touched potter. She is the geomancer. People still bring her clay for water pots, but now they also bring a handful of earth from a new farm plot, asking, "Will Yam grow happy here?" They bring dust from a foundation site, whispering, "Is this a good place for a child to dream?" And from her hut by the Iroko tree, Amara listens. She deciphers the stories in the soil, teaching that the most important history isn't in books, but underfoot, a deep, humming record of life, waiting for someone with the right kind of quiet to hear its song. Woody's future is now built in conversation with its past, one handful of remembered earth at a time.